Halloween in Oak Hollow, kids in costumes, houses decorated with pumpkins. The air was filled with excitement and a hint of mischief. Every corner of the town was adorned with spooky decorations, from cobwebs to skeletons, and the streets were alive with the laughter and chatter of children. But something scary hides in the dark, the old graveyard. It was a place shrouded in mystery and fear, a place where the bravest of souls hesitated to tread. The ancient tombstones, covered in moss and ivy, stood as silent sentinels, guarding secrets of the past. Every year someone dares to stay there at night. It was a tradition, a test of courage that had been passed down through generations. The stories of those who had taken the dare were legendary, filled with tales of ghostly apparitions and eerie sounds that sent shivers down the spine.
This year, it was my turn. I had always heard the stories, but I never thought I would be the one to face the challenge. The anticipation was both thrilling and terrifying.
His friends dared him. They gathered around the campfire, their faces illuminated by the flickering flames, and made the bet. It was all in good fun, but there was an underlying tension, a sense of something more at stake. They said he was too scared. They teased him, poking fun at his hesitation, but deep down, they all knew the graveyard was no laughing matter. The fear was real, and it was palpable. Michael wanted to prove them wrong. He was determined to show them that he had the courage to face the unknown, to confront the fears that lurked in the shadows. He decided to accept the dare. As he walked towards the graveyard, the night seemed to grow darker, the air colder. Each step echoed with the weight of the challenge ahead. The old graveyard awaited, and with it, the test of his bravery. Michael had 3 friends. There was Jake, the brave one, there was Emily, the smart one, and there was Chloe, the funny one. They all met at Michael's house. It was 10 p.m. The friends were ready to go. They walked toward the graveyard. "Are you scared, Michael?"
No.
But he was a little scared. The graveyard was old and scary. The tombstones, worn and weathered by time, stood like silent sentinels in the foggy night. Each stone seemed to whisper tales of the past, adding to the haunting atmosphere that enveloped the place. The trees were tall and dark, their branches reaching out like skeletal fingers. The wind howled through the leaves, creating an eerie symphony that sent shivers down the spine. Shadows danced and moved, as if the night itself was alive and watching. The friends walked through the creaking gate, its rusty hinges groaning in protest. They stepped onto the dark path ahead, their footsteps echoing in the stillness. The suspenseful atmosphere made every sound seem amplified, every movement more pronounced.
"It's spooky here." The friends exchanged nervous glances, their eyes wide with fear. The chilling atmosphere seemed to seep into their bones, making them hyper-aware of every rustle and creak around them.
They found a spot to sit, illuminated by the pale moonlight. The ancient grave markers around them cast long shadows, adding to the spooky ambiance. The air was thick with tension, as if the graveyard itself was holding its breath. It was near a big old tree. The tree's twisted branches and dark shadows gave it a menacing presence. It stood like a guardian of the night, watching over the graveyard with an almost sentient awareness. The tree looked like a monster, its gnarled trunk and twisted branches forming a silhouette that seemed to come alive in the eerie night. The full moon behind it cast an otherworldly glow, making the scene even more surreal and frightening.
"Let's tell scary stories." The friends huddled closer together, their faces lit by the dim light of their flashlights. The eerie atmosphere made their voices tremble as they began to share tales of terror.
The friends took turns telling stories, each one more frightening than the last. The graveyard setting made their imaginations run wild, and the night seemed to grow darker with each tale. The stories were about ghosts and monsters. They spoke of spirits that roamed the graveyard, of monsters lurking in the shadows, and of eerie mists that concealed unspeakable horrors. Each story added to the sense of dread, making the night even more terrifying. The friends checked their watches. It was 11:30 p.m., 30 minutes until midnight.
"Do you hear that?"
They all listened. There was a noise. It was a soft noise, like someone was crying.
It's probably just an animal.
But he wasn't sure. The wind howled again, the trees swayed, the crying noise got louder. The clock struck 12. It was midnight. The graveyard was awake. The ground started to shake. The crying noise got louder, and then they saw them. Ghosts. They were everywhere. The ghosts came out of the ground. They were angry ghosts. The friends were scared. They ran. Their hearts pounded in their chests, the cold night air stinging their lungs. The graveyard was a maze of tombstones and shadows, each one more menacing than the last. They could feel the presence of something sinister behind them, urging them to move faster. They ran as fast as they could. The ghosts chased them. They were getting closer. Michael looked back. He saw a ghost. Its eyes glowed with an eerie light, and its form seemed to waver like mist in the moonlight. The sight sent a jolt of terror through him, making his legs feel like lead. It was right behind him. The ghost's cold breath brushed against the back of his neck, sending shivers down his spine. He could hear its whispering voice, a chilling sound that seemed to echo in his mind, urging him to give up, to surrender to the darkness.
Michael ran faster. His legs burned with the effort, but he couldn't stop. He had to get away. The graveyard seemed endless, each turn revealing more shadows, more threats. He could hear his friends' panicked breaths behind him, their fear mirroring his own. He ran out of the graveyard. The fog thickened, making it hard to see, but he didn't slow down. The entrance was just ahead, a beacon of hope in the oppressive darkness. He could almost taste freedom, the promise of safety just a few steps away. His friends were right behind him. They stumbled and tripped over the uneven ground, but they didn't stop. The fear of what was behind them was too great. They had to stick together to support each other, to survive this nightmare. They were safe for now. They paused to catch their breath, their eyes darting around, searching for any sign of the ghosts. The graveyard was silent, the only sound their ragged breathing. Relief washed over them, but it was tinged with the knowledge that the danger wasn't truly gone. But Michael knew one thing. The fear still clung to him, a cold, unshakable presence. He could feel the weight of the night's events pressing down on him, a reminder of the horrors they had faced. He would never go back to the graveyard. The memories of the ghosts, the terror, the chase, were etched into his mind. The graveyard was a place of nightmares, a place he would avoid at all costs, not on Halloween, not ever. The thought of returning, especially on a night like Halloween, filled him with dread. The graveyard held too many dark secrets, too many dangers. It was a place best left undisturbed, a place where the past should remain buried.